we're going to watch the 𝐏𝐴𝐵 and we go to the original from 𝐏𝐴𝐚𝐬𝐀, or we start with the 𝐏𝐴𝐚𝐬𝐀 so that we can anchor the context.
Be reminded that the president is elected by the entire country, grouped as one constituency. All of us, we have our grateful corners of our constituencies. Grateful corners of our constituencies. Therefore, any disparity in development in your provinces reflect back to him, who is also the appointing authority, and therefore accountable to the development of the whole nation. Hence, your responsibilities extend beyond the political realm, impacting social and economic dimensions. And your actions have a profound impact on the lives of
kuti leader kana ari cell chairman unomutukire tisati tambosvika kuna president iye cell chairman ndozvikutaurwa neconstitution yedu iwo kana uri loyal kuzanupie uyaka muno wosimudza ruoko makomrades angu nePCC nyaya yamuri kutaura yekuti tidai ini handisi kuisapota nenzira dzakati kana ukange wakonvinsa kaPCC twajokutaka zvawataura asi musangano medu patakauya tese manzwa vachipa nhoroondo hatina kumboya tikati tinoita chimbimbidoga pendiri panapa ndine dzimwe nguva dzekuti zvandinenge tichida zvinoramba kuita asi ndinoteedzera zvako taurwa nepati kuti ngazviitike ndongazviitika tese tiri kunoku pane zvito zvedu zvataigoda zvikatadza kubuda asina kuti hatina kubuda mupati kana kutuka wataura naye here patiripo panapa takagara muno tichiita musangano purezidendi nemavhaisi avo nemaminister of state vari kuita musangano iwo kutaura kuti ndikahadiniki kuti muvenga apinde muconfuse vana kumushauro kana pane munhu anoda purezidendi ndangagwa kudakaemese muri panapa ndaachiwenga endandisangambovadzwa vachitaura kuti handidi kunangagwa kwewo wakuzovataurira zviwani.
All right, we see 𝐏𝐴𝐵 they're speaking. We'll rewind and analyze her. We see 𝐏𝐴𝐵, the approach that is making is not necessarily politicking or politics, but it would be politicking in the sense that he is using a wiser, matured approach. He is using a wiser, unbiased, mature approach. The unbiased approach is necessarily biased to say this and that. Like the approach we would see, so-called elders would be approaching a situation when there is a marital problem. We're going to analyze as is, without any translation.
Be reminded that the president is the only one elected by the whole nation as a constituency.
The president is the only one appointed by the whole nation as a constituency. Take note of the whole nation as a constituency is a key phrase.
In other words, he is the only person in the country elected by the entire country, grouped as one constituency.
In other words, he rephrases or paraphrases by the entire country grouped as a one constituent.
All of us, we have our grateful corners of our constituencies.
Constituency meaning composition. As a one constituency. Generally, because we have been used to the word constituency in parliamentary elections, we may think a constituency is that what we call a constituency. Yes, we call it a constituency, but any grouped, bracketed, or any set can be called a constituency.
Little corners of our constituencies.
Therefore,
Then he goes with our little corners of our constituencies. Take note, he puts a smile there. Our little corners in our constituencies. He has brought the word constituency, and we have our own little corners in our constituencies. To make it clear, Chiwenga is not a member of parliament anywhere. So which is his little corner and constituents? A big up to Smoke Sub-Zero says Africa, your teen passing black to black colonialism. Yes, and that also, before we can also be free, we need to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery so that we can be able to free ourselves. These guys are not going to be freeing us.
any disparity in development in your provinces.
Any disparity in development in your provinces. Here he is addressing the ministers of state affairs. There he is addressing. I want you to take note where they do clap after disparity. They would clap after a certain phrase. Why would they clap? Did they understand the meaning of the word disparity? Or they would clap because they would understand what it means? We would hear some coughing and some sounds, subconscious reaction.
Reflect back to him, who is also the appointing authority.
So we see around 3 people do clap. The one claps. Now the place they are clapping in is inviting others to clap along, but nobody joins in. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, then there's cough, cough, stop.
And therefore reflect back.
Let me rewind a bit. So he says, if there's any disparity within your constituencies or where you are performing, this reflects back to him, to the President Mnangagwa, who is the only person that is elected or appointed by the entire Zimbabwe's one constituency. You have been appointed to serve in many areas. Whatever you do, you reflect back to him. After this, I'll add my own context.
In your provinces, reflect back to him, who is.
Reflect back to him. Who is, so before he goes, who is, somebody tries to clap. So this somebody claps to the only, reflects back to him. Disparity, what does it mean? Right? It's inequality and injustice. Disparity. Power. At power. Power means equality. Power. At power. It is the same. It's not variety. It's power. It's not variable. It's not variety. But it's power. Not necessarily as in pay, but almost, but power as in parable. The stories we use to be as mirrors into our lives. Then disparity. Disappear. You can only disappear when you have been appearing. So a dis is something that is a dis is something that is that is no longer.
Also the appointing authority.
And also the appointing authority. You see, somebody would keep on clapping at the third person there. Then another person coughs again. So when the people who cough, when people are doing that, they're doing that subconsciously. But consciously, they have a certain mindset that would make them, would have reached that extent. Obviously, they know their desires and how their mindset does do work. Is a person allowed to cough when they don't agree with anything? It's a natural response. Not allowed. No, that's why it's a natural. We cannot allow it or not allow it. It's created by God. Right? But how? They do the when somebody is speaking to cut them. Oh, like a rude person. You would know that this one is a toxic person. Avoid.
and therefore accountable to the development of the whole nation.
And therefore accountable for the development of the whole nation. I know you are the guys who run, but everything you do, it comes back to the president's office. Accountable for the whole nation. So, the president is accountable for the whole nation. Anything that is wrong anyway in Zimbabwe, he is accountable. Here we are speaking in terms of you ministers who are appointed by him in government. He appoints ministers. So the executive is the executive that is accountable. At the same time, elected or appointed by the whole nation as a constituents means the president, and that is how it is as in pillars of state. The president's power is equivalent to the president, to the power of all the members of parliament combined. I don't know if our Senate is a ceremonial Senate or which works. If it does work, it will be the Senate and the Parliament combined. Like the legislative has equal power to the executive, to the president's office. In fact, not all the legislative, because the higher percentage only.
Hence, your responsibilities extend beyond the political realm.
Now, take note. He goes, this extends beyond the political rear. Like from mens rea means state of mind. So rea, reality, rea being appear. Rea is the state. What is the truth? Rea. The political rea. The political state. Beyond the political state. It goes beyond the political state. Tatobisa state up, tatobisa government, tatobisa ZANU-PF up, kwasala military jet.
In social and economic dimensions.
Social and economic dimensions. So a lot of Zimbabweans may be confused by the words dimensions, what they really mean. Like those are the main words that are targeted by any agent of Lucifer trying to plant new speak into the people. A dimension, what does it mean? It doesn't mean some delusional world somewhere. Even though to a person who doesn't have a telescope, Mars would seem a delusional. A dimension means another dimension. Be it is a perspective depending on the context. So here he says rea, then he goes dimension. It is in the same context that he is speaking. Right? There are things like parallel universes. Yes, they do exist. What do they mean? You and me may not necessarily be living in the same world. Why? We may have different paradigms. So if we have different paradigms, we are in different parallel universes. Right? Would this information be mattering? Yes, it does do matter. It does do matter. It does do matter. It is not any knowledge for any shortcut for anything. No. It may be mainly for social studies, for education, things like that. A person as you are before you are miseducated, you know enough. Including all this, you would be miseducated by conformity, by fear pressure, and by merchants of doom. So all these words I'm using, merchants of doom, Lucifer, etc., they are words just like dimension. When we say the snake, anybody who comes whispering into your ears, he's to seduce you. Ah, kona iwe, unazikuita uyu. Alikukuza tu unazikuita uyu kutuite say. kuti muvenge subconsciously uri subliminal, right? You have already fallen, you have already tolerated that. Okay, you see that person comes to your house every day. Ungachaize mwana. Ungachaize mwana udaiso mwana ruwenda uchikola kadaiso. Mwana wako. Kufuni yako yokudara indipo kai. It happens especially in urban areas. In urban where we have grown up females who think they are mothers just because they have children. Who think they have matured because they have children. Who have no experience in any real life. Who only have ideas and ideologies planted in their head. Kuti is it to so? Is to so? Is to so? Especially right now, there are so many cultures or cults that have spread so fast because of dysfunction in society, dysfunctional society. People are unemployed. It's easy to spread information through a certain cycles of people. So, say Masimba Marufu says, okay, something about your volume. So, something is happening with my mic. Okay, something is happening with my microphone. Like some external impact there. When I came on live, I didn't just do check it. Like these fools that are after me, they're after my literal blood. Like they are so bitter and so angry that they think I can play along to any of their games. So some of us, we don't react, we respond, right? We respond. So we have robbers, the things they be using to open cars, those lasers, is the one they be using to affect the state of my environment here, static, things like that. The same why we would be seeing my network being affected every time I try to go on live. So now my Wi-Fi is off. It cannot be affected because it will be some noise. So yes, we have bloodthirsty fools who can do anything. Like 24/7 monitoring and noisy harassment and things like that. Alright. So I'll be looking into how I do sue them. Like I may actually sue them for their body parts. Just to send a message. Okay, Mazola says nothing wrong on my side, watching from Johannesburg, South Africa. Thank you very much for that feedback also. Okay. Yeah, the person who may have noticed, they may have noticed some glitch, things like that. It's okay that I think I get a perspective of what's happening there. Because it's disconnecting here and there, here and there because of that magnetic interference on the USB ports. We see that the USB ports, they have some ion there, etc., things like that.
Your actions have a profound impact on the lives.
So he goes on the lives of the people. So when he goes from the state, political rear, in every dimension, social, right, and the national, and the person individual, it's now national security, not state security. So in that message, Chiwenga is just sending a message to those who can comprehend it, who can understand what he is really saying. And the person to whom the message will be directed, they can understand it. They can understand it easily, right? So right here, right now, I'm in Chitungwiza. There isn't a place I can be engaging in a discourse to find out the general understanding of some things, right? Like especially here, a lot of people are colonials, macoloniera. By default, we have people where you give, if you give them money for a job, wherever you are, as long as you're in an identity area, they'll never do the job. If you underpay the person, if you don't pay them before they do the job, If you just pay them everything, they don't do it. That is why it's necessary when you are going to be doing some renovations, some repairs, or even car maintenance, things like that. Always go to the so-called professional guys in town. Like, it's better to go to a company that is not owned by a Zimbabwean. We ourselves have become corrupt. I would love to promote a Zimbabwean, to promote an indigenous, but do we deliver? We need to end that corruption. How do we end it? Compete. So this is what we see, the message from Chiwenga. However, we see 𝐏𝐴𝐜𝐵 saying Mnangagwa and Chiwenga are tight. I'm not saying they are not tight because we see them there. But anyways, if we read the body language from the image, like this image there are several images. We will see an image like that one day when Mugabe is coming from New York. There is an exchange at the airport between Mugabe and Mnangagwa. Pelekezi Mpoko is also there. Those days were the days where if Mugabe would arrive in Zimbabwe and there is something that has changed, maybe prices, he would address the nation from the airport. Those were the days he would realize where he had gone wrong all along. And when Mugabe fires Patrick Chinamasa, he doesn't last 1 month. We are here in 2025. All this politicking, there are some people we are not considering in this politics. Jacob Mudenda, Patrick Chinamasa, and the other vice president, I forgot his name. Let me try to recall. Kembo Mohadi. Kembo Mohadi. So whoever the persons are, anyways, we all know how the coup unraveled or whatever agreements they make. We are the Zimbabweans. It's unfortunate for them and their monies, right? Like we decide, but we just need to be watching them. That's why I'm mentioning them by name, such that when that time does come, we can refer back. There is no moving forward without those guys coming into play. It is impossible. Never. We would see at the Bulawayo Congress, Patrick Chinamasa did what 𝐏𝐴𝐜𝐵 is doing now. It's the same format. After the people do that, we see Patrick Chinamasa making an announcement saying, no, the president said he didn't want 2030, it's in 𝐏𝐴𝐜𝐵. Then afterwards, we see the resolution we passed. Is that true? It's not. Okay? So, without thinking, we think vanu vakuru avanyepe. Vanaodiki ndi vasingatonyepe. Big up to Kudazai Machina watching from USA. Bernard Mogotsa watching from Free State. Welcome. Mazola says nothing wrong on my side watching from Johannesburg, South Africa. Stephen Mandavara says, Dr. Tramur says, Jiri say. Everybody who is watching us live says it's Terence Dewa. Tongo Kaurao Wani. Jones in the Opa. Okay, this one is a brilliant writing there by Lereko there. Okay. Terence Dewa would have said, well done, Chiwenga, we love you. Tongo believed you. Please rescue us. Alright. What happens to Tongo Gara, I will not talk about it. There's a time I would notice something on a video that is being made by Opam Chinguri. So I consciously don't reach a conclusion. Because I'm afraid of finding out the real truth. But we cannot conclude based on that video. That will be a video from, I think, before the coup or just after the coup, where we see her speaking and changing the story. What I think is her herself, or Pamchinguri, should not feel guilty for what happened there. What we can see is she is bothered by something, not necessarily because she is involved or she is not involved. She may be disturbed because she was part of the accident. I'm not taking her side or not taking. Me personally, I don't investigate into that because I don't want to find out. I wouldn't want to find out, especially if it's her. My favorite guy is General Tongogara, right? But still, same applies here. My father is murdered in 2008 by the same fools who are masquerading in their brainless, can't outsmart me maneuvers, theatrics, stupid, silly, childish, mahumbwe type of theatrics. They can close me even in my sleep. But because they are themselves, they are the stupid themselves. Being stupid means you don't know. We see them keep coming, thinking if they put too much pressure on me to put me under duress, they think they can interrogate me like some CIA harassment. If they would be successful in that, they will no longer be there. Like it is me who is actually dangerous to them, because I'll be fighting for my right to life, right to personal liberty. And that word liberty, they're the next door. Now they think they can sell me. So yes, that's what we have here in dysfunctional societies, and there is need to be addressing that if Zimbabwe is to become a middle income economy. If it is to become a middle income economy, we no longer see a juvenile delinquency like it would pass. We are now seeing real life Nephilims, people who are born into a certain belief, into a certain being, into a certain culture that is their own reality there. When we were born, we would be brainwashed by the scripture. John 14 verse 1. And these other verses like that. A lot of verses that are positive. We would be brainwashed with positive nuggets. We still had legacy TV. We had common sense meaning common understanding, sense my sensors. Like when we hear this phrase, it means this, it means that. Now, because of Chikoronyera Jawanda Mgeto, we have people who think my shortcuts are shortcuts. Shortcuts are not shortcuts. The only shortcut is the proper way. By the book is the shortcut. Shortcut chitotsi chekuda kutsaya kunyepedzera kunge senge zviri. There is no shortcut to anything. The actual way is the shortcut. The path to heaven is straight and narrow. Aurasike. Kumanikana kwa kureuti inomanikidzika ayewa. Chakaoma kusanamata. We are saying that chakaoma se kusanamata. Kusanamata kumana. Mi nyango ndikayeduka. Nyango ndikayeduka inini. Ndinoyeduka ndichinamata. of which that will never happen, because tenge takatozvinamatira kudhara. Mudhara God, just in case ndinogona kuzoita insani somewhere, munongoti mfano wangu sani uyakunoko. Enough respect to everybody who is watching us live, who was watching us live. Guys, I'm going to sign out. I'm not going to analyze the 𝐏𝐴𝐴 because the 𝐏𝐴𝐴 basically is what we would see the former Minister of Finance there do. I'm just going to put my number on the screen to those who want to be contacting me for anything, or those who want to be supporting TV7 Live on 𝐏𝐴𝐴 or various other platforms. Okay, let me just put my number on the screen there. Let me just check out to see a typing application. So now, as I've been making these videos, this next door will be busy listening in, right? And they go see so up and down my door and repeating words. Like imagine if you are speaking to someone and you say, and Dave will say, and they say, and Dave will say, Andribo, Scaruta say, Scaruta say, I gonna untedzera menu, right? So kwa wari iringe ritori skiri kwandiri, it's some nonsense that I'm aware of without necessarily being told by anybody, just by observation. That's why I say it's not the only why, but it's part of the reason why I say the devil is a small boy. I've always known the devil is a small boy, but some people will think they are people, not knowing there are people who are used by ZANU-PF in 2008 to do mabesi ekuuraya vanhu. Those are the people. Vakaenda kupi? May God reward them according to their deeds. And may Jesus the Redeemer also redeem. Alright, so my number, I'm going to put it on the screen there. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live. So when we brainwash ourselves with the word of God, it helps us sometimes just as therapy. Let's say miracles are not real. Like you as yourself, your existence